Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you guys for tuning in again with me this week. My name is Anisha, otherwise known as MS Veteran, here on MS&Me Radio. I'm so glad to have you guys today. Today is my birthday, August 27th. Yay! So I am going to let you guys know my true age. And I am 21 today with many years of shipping and handling. As you guys noticed, that age did not change. So, no, but seriously, it is my birthday. I am turning 21 today with many years of shipping and handling. So happy birthday to me. So I really hope that any of you guys out there that have cake and ice cream, that you will have some for me. My favorite thing is cupcakes, but if you got cake and ice cream, that works too. Definitely have some ice cream for me because I can't have it. And just be happy for my 21st birthday. Is this the year my insurance goes down? No, it's not. Anyway, anywho. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Today, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about medication. And this can go with absolutely any disease process that anyone may be dealing with. In particular, it's a little, I'm kind of homing in a little bit to MS, but it does apply to anything. Whenever you're starting, if you decide to take a disease modifying therapy, please know that it can take a while for you to literally see the changes that the disease modifying therapy or the drug is doing. Okay. For example, I'm afraid of pain medication. I'm allergic to, a lot of it. I don't even take it. I'm scared of it. But when people take pain medication, pretty much that's almost instant gratification for some people. Now, for other people, it's almost like drinking water. It don't really do anything. You know what I mean? But for other people, it can be pretty instant. And we live in a world of instant gratification where we can pick up our phone and all of a sudden we got 5,000 friends on Facebook that we can post something and talk to them and all that. And even with our kids, that are younger, this generation now, it's pretty much full of things that are instant gratification. So, but when we're dealing with stuff like this, it's not an instant thing. Now, side effects, on the other hand, can be instant. That's what sucks, okay? But you do have to embrace the suck. Just embrace it. It's okay. Embrace the suck. Because those are the side effects hopefully eventually will wear off. If you can tolerate them, and your body will eventually get to a point where it kind of subsides some. So that's a good thing. But, just know that it can take a while for you to see the changes that the medication is actually doing. For example, you may be telling your doctor, I feel horrible with this medication, and I don't feel like it's doing anything because my right hand is still tingling, my foot's still doing this and that, but then your doctor is more like, well, I kind of want to wait and see, until we can do your next MRI, okay? And the reason why that is because your MRI is going to show, the images of what's actually going on, because again, this is a disease that a lot of times people don't see it on the outside. You feel it, and it's more seen on the inside. And the best way that it is seen is through an MRI. Don't get me wrong, the lesions and stuff that are deeper within the white matter that aren't quite visible in an MRI yet, people may suffer and deal with those for quite some time until they surface, but for the most part, you're going to see those things, on an MRI, or, the radiologist will see them, and, the neurologist or MS specialist, and, they'll be able to see, if it is working, and if it's not, because if you've got more lesions, that medicine's not working for you. It's not. And then, yeah, you do need to go to something else, if it is working. And then hopefully by that point, with the new MRI, then they'd be able to get you onto a different, medication. Because trust me, it can take a while with insurance and stuff like that to be able to switch your medication. And you would think that, when the doctor writes, the script, and, they get it over to the insurance, that, that's going to be a quick process. It can be a lengthy process when it comes to medications like these, especially when they're sometimes 6-figure medications. Okay. It's a process. And then they want what's called a prior authorization from the same doctor that is saying that you need to be on the medication. But again, it's just part of that process. So just remember to trust the process. You know, again, with the medicines, please know, and I know it's hard. I was there, it may not always be instant. It may be for some people, it may not be for others. That's just like it is in all things. Okay, for some people some things work right away, and for other people it doesn't. But that does not mean that it's not working. Again, that's why journaling is very important, as I've discussed with you guys. Keeping track of everything, even down to what you eat, because they may be able to tell if it's something in that nature that's making side effects worse, and things like that. Getting copies of stuff, because again, you just want to stay on top of everything. Another thing too is, with this disease, lots of weird things can happen. And since it's my birthday and I came in this world buck naked and by myself with the help of my mama, I'm gonna tell you guys a little. It's not embarrassing anymore. Now it's hilarious. Okay, but at the time, okay, I was mortified. Okay, so picture it, El Paso. I was asleep. It was in the morning, and I could hear the garbage truck. So I'm kind of waking up, kind of thing. So I grabbed my footed pajamas so I could put them on. Then at the same time, the phone rang, and it was my mom. And I was like, hey, can I call you right back? So then I put the phone down, and then I, hurried up, and I ran downstairs, so I could get some people call it a Herbie Kirby, but your trash can that you wheel down the street, by the curb. I don't know what most of y'all call it, but I took that down by the side of the road. And the next thing I know, I just felt cold. In the desert of El Paso, I was cold, and I just said, oh no. And I looked down. I was buck naked. Okay, no clothes. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I grabbed that thing again, and I used it to back myself up to my house. Okay, and I got myself in, just closed the door, slid down the door, just in utter embarrassment. Like, I cannot believe this just happened to me. The garbage men were super nice, and they went ahead and came up to the door and got the can. And, after that, they would leave me flowers and all that stuff on my door. Which was pretty funny. And I had never been so glad to move away from that house after that happened to me. I was like, oh my gosh. But the unfortunate thing was, whenever I moved, guess what? Same garbage men. So didn't work for me very well. But they didn't recognize me. And I think perhaps it's because I had clothes on. And I got another vehicle too. So, yeah, but that happened to me. And it's like, with MS, we have really bad experiences and things that can happen to us, but that's okay. If I can just reveal to the world about my experience there, because I did tell my coworkers when I got to work, and we were all just cracking up laughing, because I do have a weird sense of humor. Like, it's weird, very. We laughed about it, but I was like, man, I just cannot believe this happened. But my brain would not shut down. Okay. So with that being said, with, medications, it takes a while. So I finally had to have a sleep study done. And when I had that sleep study done, my brain was not shutting down all the way at nighttime because of the MS. Okay. It would not shut down. So once I had that sleep study done and they figured that out, they put me, because I'm afraid of like Ambien and all that kind of stuff like that. So they put me on an old school medication called amitriptyline. And that medication, literally, this doctor said to me, if you have any problems with like your bladder from your MS, this amitriptyline is going to help with that. And, because a lot of medications are 2 and 3-fold. Like, they're made for one category, but then they find that it works for something else. For case in point, too, you have like your Lyrica and your Cymbalta that are depression medications, but they also work for people that have fibromyalgia. Okay. So a lot of medications are, 2, 3, sometimes 4-fold, but it takes a while for those medicines to be able to work. Same thing with these disease modifying drugs. You're gonna have to, be patient with it, trust the process, trust its process. Okay. Make sure that you're journaling, you're doing all these things, in while the process is going on. So that if there is something that's just totally like, oh, wow, and it's not just a one-time occurrence and you got it documented, then that doctor can be like, we may want to do something here. That's why I speak so much about that, because it is very important. Another thing, too, now we talk a lot about, our support system, that they need to be positive and we need to be positive and all that type of stuff. And I do understand full well that there are the 5 stages of grief that people go through when they find out that they have MS. I get it. MS, any other disease, I don't care. Anytime you find out that you're sick with anything, you grieve. You do, because you're just like, man, I can't believe this. But one question that will come out of our brain, and a lot of times out of our mouths, is why me? Okay. I know it's easier said than done, but don't ask yourself that, because you know why? A lot of times you're not supposed to know the answer. And I've always been told, and I do believe, and I stand strong in my faith, that, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. Okay. So don't say or ask yourself, why me? Tell whatever's going on, try me. That's whenever you know that you're at that point that you are going to fight back, is when you're telling it, try me. Okay, all right. Because I'll say often when MS does something to me, I'm like, oh, you trying to hit me like a little girl. I get it. But there's sometimes it'll hit me with, left hook, right hook, uppercut, hit me with that biscuit too, and it'll knock me down. But you know what? I get back up. Whether I'm crawling, whether I'm, on my little Sophia from Golden Girls on my little walker and little purse on my arm, walking around, picture it. Either way, I'm going to get back up, okay? That's just exactly what I try so hard to do. And I want you guys to do the exact same thing, because it can be hard. And a lot of times, what's important to know too is it takes just as much strength to keep fighting as it does to give up. believe it or not. When you give up, it is just as painful as it is to keep fighting, especially with a disease like MS. Because when you give up and you decide, I can't do this anymore, and the atrophy and everything else that you're going to go through, that is some painful stuff. Let me tell you, it is painful. So, you know what? Use it all for the greater good. Use it for the greater good and say, try me, and fight back. Fight it with all that you can. It doesn't have a face, but you know what? Keep swinging. What they call it back in the day, used to windmill. When girls couldn't fight, they would start windmilling. Just windmill on it. I've never been a windmiller, that's for sure. But have y'all ever noticed that I'm kind of like squirrel, just everywhere? Just so y'all know, I'm just like that, but it's okay. I'm sure y'all can appreciate it, because you never know what's gonna come out of my mouth. I had an old boss that I worked for, and he used to call me colorful, because I'd be out there telling jokes and I thought he couldn't hear me, but he could. And he would call me colorful. And I'm going to tell you, one of the best people I've ever worked for, because even I was afraid. I did not want to say when I found out, that I had MS. I didn't want to say, and, I did. And he was so supportive of me and my family and my kids, and I that's a good man. That's a good man. And he said to me, Anisha, you've got one of the biggest hearts, but little does he know, he is the one that has one of the biggest hearts, because of him allowing me to work as hard as I did, allowing me to not feel like I was less of a person or less than an individual or anything like that. He allowed me to stay in this fight even through that grieving process when I did find out what this was, And that guy is Peter Newell. Very, very good guy. And I tell you what, as long as I live, I'm thankful to him and Sergeant Major Pandy. They were just exceptional with me, and finding out what was going on, and Sergeant Cox, and all these people, they were just amazing. Like, one thing that people with MS really should not really eat is licorice, and a lot of people don't know that, but it's not good for us. And one day I had eaten some licorice and a cherry soda, and I was like, oh my gosh, and at the time I didn't know I had it, MS, and I was like, I can't go to I called her in the bathroom. She was in there holding my hands, everything. I could not pee at all, didn't know what was up, and went, to the hospital and everything, and they started doing a little bit more testing, and that was kind of when, we started to hone in and narrow down to something is seriously wrong, and it's just amazing how this stuff works. But with that being said, y'all remember, just say try me, and make sure your vibe attracts your tribe. That is so true. Like my friends are just some good humored people, dark humor, any kind of humor. I absolutely love it. Like, they don't charge it to me if I post something that's super dark, they'll just kind of laugh right along with me, because I have a weird sense of humor, but that's okay. It helps me get through. It's actually a coping mechanism. For those of you guys that don't know, that's a way that people cope with being chronically ill, is humor. And a lot of times it is dark humor. That's just how we cope, for people that don't realize that, that's exactly what it is. It's a coping mechanism as a way to deal with it. Another thing for you guys, went to a school. I'm actually a trainer in something called resiliency, okay, and being resilient. I was very, 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 it warmed my heart, and I was pleased and just humbled and cried when I was asked to, go to that school. And it was like, hey, we can't think of anybody better to go, is everything you're living with. And, you still have a smile and positive words for people, and, just keeping people up and going and keeping things running as best you can. We can't think of anyone better to go. And that really warmed my heart. One of the things that I learned in there that I want you guys to think very, very hard on, and don't just think, try to implement it. And it's called hunting the good stuff. Okay? Now, hunting the good stuff, that could be, I don't care, one small thing. It could be one small thing. Some days you may have 5 things. That's fine. Okay? But at least one. At the end of the day, before you go to bed, think of one thing during that day that made you smile or that made you happy. It could be that your kids called you. It could be that your coffee that you had, fall's coming up, so you were able to find some pumpkin spice stuff. You were able to do that, and Lord knows I don't need no coffee, okay? Because I'm already hyper, but we're going to leave that alone. Um, it could be that, someone texted you a picture, somebody told you that, you looked pretty or you smelled nice, or, it could be that you made somebody else smile. It could be that you smiled at someone, and when, you smiled at them, they smiled at you, and you saw that your smile genuinely made them smile, perfect stranger. It could be just that, as simple as that. Let that be the last thing that you write down at the end of the day. What I have, which I've got it on a notebook now, and I'll tear them up, later on. But at the end of every day, I write down, sometimes it's more than one, it's 3 to 5, but at least one, and the date, okay, of something good that happened. Then at the end of the year, guess what? On New Year's Eve, I sit down and I read over those things. So guess what? I am not thinking about, oh, Jake from State Farm, he got fired. Yeah, that was good. Or let me hurry up and get into, 20,000 or 24, you know what I mean? That you're more looking at one day at a time, and you're also putting the past behind you, but you're doing it in a good way by reviewing good thoughts as you step into the new, okay? And it's about replacing negativity with positivity, because Lord knows that, I kid you not, we can pick out people that are, farting horrid stuff, faster than we would somebody that was sitting there doing it and it's rainbow and glitters. You know what I mean? We would be pointing at the other person because it's something negative. That's just human nature, I think, But change that and take a look at the positive at the end of the day. And even if it's just one thing, that's fine. And the date. So then at the end of the year, at least at a minimum, you're going to have 365. But now, of course, it's going to be less because we're 8 months into the year, But when you review it all, it's all going to be positive. And you're going to step into the new year with a positive thought, okay? And then whenever you do this every day and you make it a practice that, every night before you go to bed, like this is the last thing that you do. Because, for example, I take my medication an hour and a half before I go to bed, because I hunt my good stuff in that last hour and a half, because it could be still something good that'll happen before I go to bed, and I write it down, and then I got it. You know what I mean? So then I'm going to bed on a positive, and then my positive is not even MS, because an hour and a half before I've already taken my medication. Make sense? So then I'm not, still thinking like, oh, ooh, because it can get so bad. And you know what? I feel like the more that we love on ourselves, the more love we can give each other, and the more love that we can spread into this world. Okay. Now, I don't mean to sound all, Mother Teresa on y'all, but I'm just saying we got to do something. We have got to do something to spread more love and positive we have got to. So if we all start here with hunting the good stuff and then we spread it, to others to hunt the good stuff, man, wouldn't it be good? 'Cause don't get me wrong now, it's always going to be a negative Nelly somewhere, it's always going to be. And that's fine. But you know what? Then, just keep it to a minimum. You know what I mean? Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, well, girl, my bunions and, my corns and this and that. Oh, really? Well, did you get you some Dr. Scholl's? Well, you know what, baby? I ain't tried them yet. Guess what? You just gave her a positive thought to go and try some Dr. Scholl's. You know what I mean? You just turned that negative around, Not that listening to someone with health issues is bad, but believe it or not, those of us that are living with chronic illness, a lot of times when you ask us how are we feeling, we're going to say, oh, I'm fine, or oh, I'm okay. Because you know why? We feel like you don't want to hear it, or we feel like you don't want to know, or we feel like we don't want to bring you down, or we feel like we don't want you to know exactly how bad it is. Okay? Honestly, that is how it is. And I'm just being 100% transparent with you guys. You can ask me, hey girl, how you doing? Now, depending on, how I'm feeling, no. In most cases, I'll do an update every once in a while. A lot of times I forget and I'll tell you. I literally went transparent when last time I was at the hospital and showed a picture of bleeding eyes, everything that was going on. Okay. So that because I'd hidden everything for so long. Now, don't get me wrong. That was not from the MS. That was from, another disorder, but everything was acting up, everything. And I felt like, you know what, I need to be transparent because I don't think I've ever explained it in a way so that people can know or see what it's like, because I'll tend to kind of become a hermit, and just stay in my own little, world. Yeah, do I still talk? Do I still joke? Oh yeah, for sure. You'll see memes and jokes for days on my page. But you know what? I'm making myself laugh to keep from crying because, again, that's a coping mechanism. Okay? But hunt that good stuff. And believe it or not, even when I'm going through a lot, when this disease is smacking me the most, I'm still hunting the good stuff. I am still doing it. Hunt the good stuff. Let it be the last thing that you do before you go to bed, so that when you go to bed, it is positive thoughts. Okay? And that too can help with your sleeping, all that. Then you wake up the next morning. Guess what? You're not on that negative, bin of, man, them telemarketers. And hey, next time they call you, tell them, hey, quit calling me. I'm on the list. Stop calling. Because they just blow my phone up. But I like playing pranks on them, so it's kind of funny at the same time. But again, it could be something that you do for other people that's good stuff that made you feel good. Because guess what? Sometimes it's not all about us. I love to make other people laugh and smile. That makes me feel good, because sometimes it's hard for me to get my own self to do it because I do hurt so bad. So y'all remember that. Hunt the good stuff. Try it out. Again, you guys can look me up on Facebook. Let me know if my tips are helping you. Let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about. Again, my name is Anisha Hankins, and today I am 21. Yay! Happy birthday to me. And I love you guys, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Love ya.